glad we could finally make this happen. And
Okay.
yeah.
And
Right now there's about 750 million people on the planet that don't have access to power.
start. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let Me Be, a podcast where I speak with people from different countries, cultures, professions, and walks of life. Because I strongly believe that every person you met knows something you don't. Today, I have a very special guest, Stephen Fernands, President and co-owner of Customized Energy Solutions, CES, or Galt Power. Stephen has spent decades working in the complex world of electricity markets, energy management, business strategy, partnership, and entrepreneurship. Under his leadership, CES has grown into an international organization working across United States, Canada, India, Vietnam, Japan, and the UAE, with new initiatives developing in Africa. I have personally had the opportunity to work with CES, and what I have always appreciated about Stephen is his leadership style, calm approach, the way he looks at the people, and his big smile. So today, I want to go beyond the designation and the business. I want to know the person behind the leader. Stephen, welcome to Let Me Be.
Lily, thank you for the opportunity to have a conversation here, and thank you.
Going straight to the question, Stephen. You've built a successful, international career, but if we forget your designation, maybe for a moment, who is Stephen Fernandes?
Yeah, I mean, at my core is a follower of Jesus Christ, a person who husband and father of three wonderful children, and someone that desires to make the world a better place.
Can you take us back to the beginning? Was becoming an entrepreneur and business leader something you always wanted to do it, or did life take you in that direction?
Yeah. So I, from an early age, had an inclination towards business. So I, ran a bike shop in high school and was very active in business from a pretty young age. I would say though, I really, after college, was thinking I would be in the not-for-profit sector, trying to make more impact. And I worked 4 years in the not-for-profit sector in Chicago. And really enjoyed that time, but felt drawn back to business and trying to use business as a tool for accomplishing some of the same goals that I had as working for a not-for-profit.
You've been married to Rochelle for 33 years and have three children. How has your family influenced the way you think about leadership, success, and life?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the things is to appreciate the different stages of different opportunities. For a while, when I was working in the not-for-profit sector, my wife largely supported me, Rochelle, in being able to be an outreach director for a small church in Chicago. And and then later on, she was able to stay home and raise the children when they were younger. And both of us have really supported each other in continuing our education, continuing to develop each other, and really looking to support one another in our journey. And then of course, children have been a major part of our life. And my wife and I both liked working with youth before we had children, and we've continued to work with youth on a volunteer basis, after we had children. And then developing our own children, seeing the people that and the adults they've become, and just very proud of them, and really have been a major part of the evolution of just who I am.
Uh, okay, Stephen, this is something I personally wanted to. We have experienced your leadership style during my time with CES. So, what does good leadership means to you?
Yeah, to me, good leadership is helping people to develop to the best of their capabilities. So, how do you get the best out of folks as you head towards a common goal? And so, whether that common goal is a great service, a great product, helping serve others, that you look to bring out the best and empower people to be able to accomplish those things. And so good leaders, I believe, are people that really help nurture those skills in the folks they work with, and help them to achieve their goals and the goals of the organization.
You have led teams across different countries and cultures. What have you learned about managing people who think, communicate, and work in a different style, maybe from you?
Yeah, so I'd say across countries, I've found that people really want to do a good job. People want to fulfill the work that's in front of them in a way that really is excellent. And so I've seen that across countries. I think different countries have different skill levels of where they're starting at. And so in different countries, maybe you have to spend a little bit more time in doing some skill development to help them ramp up. And I think that understanding as well that some cultures are more inclined to ask for help, where others maybe you have to encourage them and let them know that it's okay, that all of us need help at times, and to make sure that people are asking for help when they need it to be able to advance in their own skills.
Even having worked in both United States and India, you have had the opportunity to experience two very different business cultures. So, from your
Mhm.
experience, what are some of the biggest differences you have noticed between Indian and American leadership style?
I would say that in India, especially when I was, first entered there in 2010, it was a much more relational business culture than the United States. In many ways, in the United States, you do an RFP, you go out to market, um, you spend less time having, tea and biscuits or other things with other business owners to really get to know each other better before, ever starting a business dialogue. And so I found India to, yeah, be quite relational. Also, India, the work norms are often different. I mean, so for many companies, it's 6 days a week, very long hours, very uh, driven, which I can appreciate. It's not our culture, so we don't do that. But um, but trying to understand, okay, yeah, these are the strengths of the culture, and these are going to be some of the challenges, and um, yeah, and I'd say each culture has its own pros and cons, or things that make it easier or harder for business. Overall, I found India, though, to be just a very vibrant, energetic, friendly community that was a great place to live and work when we were setting up the operation, and to continue to go back, since it's been set up.
And if you could give one piece of advice to young Indian professionals who want to work with global companies, what would it be?
Just be curious. So not just take what is stated as okay, we're going to work on this project or going to do that, to understand why, to be curious about, okay, why is the company doing this, how does this fit into their overall goals and objectives, and look at the bigger picture, because sometimes we can get heads down on our individual task and not be curious, okay, how does this fit into the larger organization, and to view your position not so much in the lens of I'm here to do this set of tasks, but I'm here to have the company be successful. And how can I advance my own skills and career to help that to happen?
You spend much of your career in the energy sector. What excites you most about the future of energy?
Everything. So I think that electric vehicles are exciting. Small modular nuclear reactors are exciting. The decrease in the cost of solar power is exciting, and energy storage. So all of it is coming together, I think, into a time when energy has never been as affordable as it is today, and has never been as non-polluting as it is today. So we have, the new generation that's being invested in is remarkably cleaner, and that includes natural gas in the United States displacing large amounts of coal generation. So again, I think there's a lot of positive stories within the energy ecosystem. There's still a long way to go, but I think it's a quite an exciting time to be part of this industry.
CES is already working across several countries and looking at opportunities in Africa. So, what opportunities you see emerging in Africa's energy sector?
Yeah. So right now, there's about 750 million people on the planet that don't have access to power. When I first came to India, that number in India was almost 300 million people in India. Now, India has virtually 100% of the population has access to power. So the number of people having access to power has increased drastically globally. Africa's still lagging though. And so more than half of the people in the world that don't have access to electricity live in Africa. And so looking to Africa as a place where we can get more energy access, more people have the tools and benefits that electricity empowers. So that's really an area that I've been leaning into, and Customized Energy Solutions has been leaning into these last few years. And I believe that we will continue to expand our footprint with providing energy access, whether it's through grid expansion, microgrids, productive use of energy applications, or a host of other interventions that we've worked on to try to get more power to more people.
Can you share a personal or professional setback that changed the way you think?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I think when I first came to Philadelphia, I had a vision that I'd be continuing to work in housing and sort of the not-for-profit sector after doing that for 4 years in Chicago. And I really struggled to get a job. The Philadelphia not-for-profit community is a tight-knit community. I really didn't know the city very well, and I struggled. So I ended up getting temp jobs through a placement company, and that exposed me to lots of different companies, and ultimately was how I ended up getting a job at Pico Energy, the energy company that eventually I helped get a grounding in the energy sector that allowed me to start Customized Energy Solutions. So I think I learned a lot of humility. Often when we don't get what we want, we learn some humility, and that people can work really hard and struggle, and that's just a true thing. And so I think it helped me develop more empathy for others, and also provide me an opportunity to experience a lot of different companies that I wouldn't have had an opportunity to experience otherwise.
If you could go back to the beginning of your career and meet the younger Stephen, what would you tell him?
Um, I would say just stay ambitious for good. Like, so, the idea that, yeah, it's not always going to be easy. There's going to be hard periods, but to really seek to try to accomplish as much good as you can do in your life, whether it's in family, community, work, the world, and to stay ambitious for what can be achieved. And so just stay that course, hard times or easy times, to continue to seek to how you can be of service to others.
Okay, so the name of this podcast is Let Me Be. What does Let Me Be personally mean to you?
Sure. So for me, I would almost as a prayer ask God, let me be a tool for your purposes here on earth. Let me be a blessing to others, and let me be someone that honors God in all that I do, as is in our mission statement, and as in the reason for our existence is that we may honor God.
Okay. What keeps you motivated when you have a difficult day?
Um, Different things. I mean, I think knowing that I've had difficult days in the past, and often it's through our failures that we learn the most. So I have looked back on my failures and said, okay, how could I have made that better? Rarely do I look back on my successes and say, oh yeah, that's how can I learn from that? And so to take it in the perspective of, okay, what can I learn from this? And again, in the moment, that can be hard, but realizing that, okay, in the past, I know these types of times have helped me in the future, and to try to keep that perspective.
Okay. What do you do in your free time? Like apart from yoga, cycling, what else? What books you are reading, which Netflix show you're watching, which movies you watch.
Sure. So tonight I think I'm going to be watching Jack Reacher. He's the new Netflix series that's out there, and we enjoy that. We also just finished watching a K-drama, which my wife and I enjoy. K-dramas, they're so over the top. It's just so much fun. And in terms of reading, um, Dungeon Crawler Carl which is a science fiction book, and that in terms of the business side of things, the Give and Take by Adam Grant is a book that I'll be teaching as part of my leadership development program that we run here at the company. And that's sort of a book that refreshing that and reviewing that to prepare for those sessions.
If you could give just one message to the younger generation watching this conversation, what would it you want to, what would it be?
Um, Surround yourself with optimistic people who are looking to make the world a better place. That generally those folks will help shape who you are, and you'll help shape who they are. And so to continue to stay optimistic. And I think it's optimists and pessimists both tend to end up being proven right over time. So I'd rather be in the optimist camp and proven right that things are better than a pessimist camp and prove that things are hard. And things are sometimes hard, but to stay optimistic about the future, because I think it really is a beautiful future ahead for you.
Yeah. Stephen, thank you so much. For me personally, this conversation was special because I have not only known you professionally, but I also have had the opportunity to experience the culture and leadership at CES. And today I got the opportunity to understand a little more about Stephen the person rather than just Stephen the business leader. I think that's what Let Me Be is really about. We often met people through their designation like president, CEO, entrepreneur, manager, professor, but behind every designation, it's simply a human with a story. And sometimes that story is where the real learning begins. Thank you for being part of Let Me Be, Stephen.
Well, thank you, Lily. Appreciate you taking the time and reaching out, and I wish you all the best in your endeavor here. I think that's it's great, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you for being part of Let Me Be. And to everyone watching, remember, listen, learn, grow, connect, because every person you met knows something you don't. Until next time, Let Me Be. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.